Hello and welcome to another episode of Fight on Montana. I am your host, Adam Healy, with my co-host, the awesome Angel Villanueva. How are you doing, man?
Oh, not too bad, brother. How you doing?
Good, good. Hey, for those listeners that do not know, we take a deep dive into everything Grizzly athletics. And just to remind you to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts at. We'd love to get a hold of us. There's 3 ways you can do that: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at Fight on Montana. That's where you can reach us. We want to make this as much as a fan show as possible. So also go to our YouTube channel as well. You can get on there and listen to us live. You can comment back and forth to us if you have questions, if you disagree with us. We want to hear from you. So, yeah. How are you, man? What's that?
I just want to say really quickly too, man. I've had a lot of people this past week to say nothing but good things so far. So I just want to give a shout out to those people and the people that are taking the time to listen to us, whether it be on your commute from work to work, whether it be on your way to the gym or at the gym. Me and Adam just really appreciate the support, and so we just want to express our gratitude to you guys. And just keep it up, man. Appreciate it,
dude. It's so like just awe-inspiring and shocking that, you know, when we started this, like, people are listening to us. Like,
yeah,
that never crossed my mind. You know, I started it and just wanted to talk some sports, and I'm just glad that people are listening.
Yeah, like, who wants to listen to me talk? You know, I never in a million years I would have thought that. You know, but
no one listens to me. My dogs, maybe. That's about it.
Right? I'll be talking to myself here at the crib, so I'm really humbled by it, and I think it's such a cool part of the community. It's awesome to be part of a community that wants to listen, support, and actually enjoy the conversation that you're putting out. You know, and so that makes me feel good. I'm sure that makes you feel good too. So shout out to you guys. Appreciate you guys.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, hey, man, let's get into it. So we have some big athletic news coming here in the next couple of days. Women's soccer, Griz soccer, is going to be playing in the national tournament against South Carolina. We want to give a shout out to them. I wish them the best, man. Just repping and supporting, you know, Griz athletics and University of Montana. So.
And I think this is on a grading scale, this is like the most qualified team that we've ever had run through the university. If I'm correct, don't quote me on that, but I'm like 98% sure about that.
Yeah, well, it would be so sweet if we could pull an upset. You know, I know that it would be an upset, but man, it's an SEC school. I don't know too much about, you know, the soccer and college athletics. You know, I follow you know, women's and guys soccer a little bit, but it would be so cool if we can upset one of these teams and make it on, and just keep on growing. That's what's crazy, is I think that's probably one of the growing areas in Griz athletics is women's soccer. How fast and how well they've done the last couple of years is just that growth with them. I just hands to them that they're doing awesome, and can't wait to see what they do.
And it speaks a little bit to the players, you know, and to the coaches, a little bit of everything. But I know there's been some coaching changes, but even then, through those transitions, the players have remained really solid. So I think our recruiting is really where that's really kind of helping us stay above the rest, you know, because not only are we, you know, a contender year in and year out, but we're damn near taking it every year. You know, we're in the top 2, in the top 3, in that rotation to really be something special. And so I think this is kind of where all the bricks are falling into place. The cement is laid. And so just one of those things that they just got to go out there and play. And I'm really excited just to see how it turns out. I really think in the world of sports, you never really know what's going to happen. You know, the winner or loser, you know, who's favored, that kind of goes all out the window as soon as, you know, that time starts. So I'm excited to see how they kind of end off their season, you know, whether it be continue it on or whether it be, you know, it's right then and there. I think it's something to be extremely proud of.
Exactly. Anytime when you make the national tournament, a postseason tournament, you've got to hang your hat on that. And, you know, I think that one thing that we're not saying here is just the culture. You know, to build any program, you have to have the culture. If you have the coaching, you have the players. If you don't have the culture, you're not going to have anything. So I really think that the women's soccer team really has instilled that culture. And I think that they're getting good support from the community as well.
Yeah, 100%. And being invested too. Like you had mentioned, the culture is a big thing, but I think being invested on an individual basis, I think it's really proven, successful for them. I mean, you think time and time again, they put in the time. You talk to those players, they're always training. They're always, even my time at the facilities, I was always running into soccer players, going to study hall, taking their academics seriously, going to train, going to put extra work in the summertime on the weekends, being in those cold tubs and those hot tubs up in the training room. So it just goes to show that hard work does pay off, And so I think it's pretty awesome to see, dude. So I'm excited for them.
Yes. And men's basketball, they've got a new recruit, Cooper Kriegmont, from Juneau, Alaska. I did not see this one coming. So
why is that?
I didn't know we were going to go up to Alaska and get a guy from Alaska, which I think is awesome because he's got, his last name, Kriegmont, Montana. I love that. From the look of it, he's got some of the accolades and stuff. And so maybe, he's just going to be a diamond in the rough that doesn't get necessarily the spotlight, being up in Alaska. But yeah, we got to welcome him to Griz Nation and wish him the best.
Exactly. And I think it'll be really interesting with the people that have decided to enter the transfer portal or just kind of done with the program. I think it'll be interesting to see where he kind of fits in that puzzle. So I'm excited for him. Welcome. And we look forward to seeing you play, man, if you're out here listening to us. Exactly.
And you said the transfer portal, which is like the kiss of death lately. We haven't had anybody go from the basketball side. During the year we did with the 3 that left, necessarily not this year, but we have had some guys recently go from the football team into the portal with Bryson and Braden Deming, Trace Letexier, Kevin Armstead, and then Joseph Cooper have entered the portal. First of all, I don't know how you feel about this, Angel, but the 3 of those guys.
I'm hurt, man. I'm hurt, dude. I came in, and I think it was a year or 2, and then I played with Demings. I played with both those guys. I kind of was around with Trace. They're all personal friends of mine. I don't have the pleasure of knowing Joseph and Kevin as much, so I don't necessarily know how to feel about that. Obviously, it's a blow. That sucks. I wish they would have had a better experience, or maybe they're following something that they just think is better for their career. But it does kind of sting to hear about the Deming brothers and Trace. But I think at the end of the day, they're really, really intelligent. And I think from what I heard was that they're making the decision based off, their kind of career goals.
Yeah.
And so you would have loved to have them around. But, man, those are big, big losses, especially with the consistency, the kind of grit that they have, just the head on their shoulders and how they approach the game every single day. They were ready to die out there on that field, and you saw it every time that they played, regardless of, even if it wasn't their play to make. They went out there and they played their hearts out for sure. So I'm grateful for that, but I just wish we would have had that full season to kind of see all these players really kind of get that full rotation of a full season.
Yeah. Well, and it does suck. But you can't hurt those guys that have put the time in the program, have fulfilled their obligation of graduating and going on. Like if they're going to a school where it has that degree,
exactly.
Like, why would they stay? Why? I know. Yeah. Hey, football. Yeah, I could say right now, hey, I would play. Go to school for another year.
Yeah, that's a tough part. But I'm glad you said that.
That is a lot of work. Like just to play football, you're going to want to endure all of that and take up something that maybe isn't going to be the best for you in your non-collegiate wise, after school, because not necessarily all these guys are going to be playing in the NFL. So that, you've got to look at that and say, hey, I've got to better myself for after football better than I have to look at just playing football. And so, these guys, Kevin Armstead, he's a freshman. And then, Joseph Cooper is a junior. And so, those guys, I think that they probably see the writing on the wall and say, hey, I want to go and get some more playing time. But those other 3, man, you can't. And in Griz Nation, I know there's a lot. I've heard a lot of how dare they, that they're letting us down. And it's like, man, they put up 3 years of hard fought grind. They put in a year of not getting anything back in return. I don't think you can just be mad at them. I don't think you have to look at it. You can be, oh, that stinks. And hey, I wish we could see him play, but you've got to say, hey, thanks for, doing what you did. And just be grateful that you got to see them for that long.
Yeah. It actually got me, if I'm being honest with you, Adam, it got me pretty mad that a lot of people were giving them negative feedback.
Exactly.
Like they were making the wrong decision.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit absurd. It's like they're kids. They're grown adults. They're still in the process of figuring out what life is. Every adult, that's past the age of 30, that's past the age of 40, 50s, and 60s. No one had their crap figured out when they were in their 20s. They were learning as they go. And so I think because of that, they owe it to themselves to go out there and take that risk and say, okay, you know what? I'm going to follow my passions. I'm going to go follow my dreams. And that's to go be a doctor. I think they all are going to be doctors. They're going to change people's lives. They're going to affect them in ways that me and you could never do, know? And so because of that, there's a bigger purpose. There's a higher purpose. And I think a lot of people initially get into football because they want to be part of something bigger. But those guys are really, really where the change is going to happen with, just society in general, man. So I'm glad that they're making this decision. I feel like people should be more on board with them and let them know that, hey, we're appreciative because, man, they did a damn good job leaving it where it's at right now.
Exactly. Now, with what and we can go in this a little bit later too, but with them leaving, what does that hurt more, the tight end or defensive end? Because I think we're pretty good at defensive end. It kind of hurts the depth, but tight end, not having the depth there, not necessarily the depth, but just the consistency with tight end. We have a lot, Cole Grossman's and next man up. He's going to do awesome. But he's just he kind of suits a little bit differently, I think, or maybe I just haven't seen enough of Cole. But there's a lot of younger guys behind him that they don't have that experience.
And I think that's where, my kind of concern is. It's always nice to have really, really veteran leadership. And obviously with Deming and Trace, those are guys that have been around the program. Trace has been, kind of juggled around playing different positions. So he's really versatile in a lot of ways. Deming's always been a great tight end, even from the start, really consistent and goes out there, makes plays and catches. And that's not to say that Cole can't do it himself, because Cole is probably one of the most athletic people I've ever met in my life, as far as any sport. It doesn't have to be football. It can be any sport. I think he's extremely athletic. I think he's extremely passionate about, what he does. But it's always nice when you have multiple people that can step up and lead. Having a little bit of a Deming, a little bit of a Trace, and Cole in that rotation to say, hey, these are all experienced. They're all different playing styles, but they're all equally as talented. I think taken away from that a little bit, it proves a little bit stressful, I would assume, to Cole. I think about my time as an offensive line. I remember at one point that I was the most experienced guy, and it was a little stressful. It was a little hard to kind of navigate all those younger guys and be able to obviously lead by example was fine, but still at the same time, it's always nice to have people behind you that kind of know what you're talking about and understand. That just kind of helps create the culture. But I think, like I said, I think they made the right move. I think this is going to be a huge opportunity for Cole to step up and kind of kind of explode. And like I said, I think he's one of the most athletic people that I've ever met. So I'm excited to see him go out there and really kind of use his talents and his natural God-given ability and go out there and just run with it, man. Really go run with it. Go take it,
It'll be really interesting to see what they do. Like, they're going to insert Cole in there, but it'd be really interested to see who's that next on the totem pole of who's going to get those reps. And that'll be sorted out, this this spring, or not this spring. Sorry. This summer and fall. And so we'll see that. Yeah. We'll see that. So,
and I think also too, just ballparking it as well. I'm wondering if they're going to bring any guys in for that tight end position too,
Well, they have a freshman coming in. Jake something. He's 6'7", 230. Played for Butte High School. I'm forgetting his name. Dude, that guy looks legit too. Kind of reminds me a lot of Cole. He's just long and fast. And so he might be the next guy, that they try to put in there to get experience because he's already 6'7", 230. I don't know if they want him to have a little bit more weight. But you don't, with a guy that's fast and quick like that, you don't want him too big to take away his athleticism either. So.
Exactly. I'm just curious to see how it plays out. I don't know if they go and recruit from a couple of bigger schools that are entered the transfer portal as a tight end position and just kind of trying to bring them back down here, or they go to, across the FCS level. So let us know what you guys think. I think that'd be interesting to hear, kind of that approach from the fans kind of perspective, whether they go bigger to bring it down, or they just continue to recruit high school and just bring those guys in to continue to build that culture,
Yep, definitely. And we did get a late recruit. Sorry, I'm gonna look this up because I know his last name is Simmons. But he was a late recruit out of Louisiana. He was committed to, I believe, Arkansas State, and then sorry, I'm trying to look for it here.
That's a good idea.
So Dylan,
I wonder if he made that jump to come out here, to come take a visit out here,
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
So Dylan, oh come on, where is it at? Dylan Simmons, I believe.
Okay. What position does he play?
It's athlete. So
he's athlete. Okay.
Athlete. From his film that I saw, it was a cornerback, safety type role that I saw. Trying to find the actual town that he's from. Sorry, man. But yeah, it was a kind of interesting because he had been recruited and committed to Arkansas State and signed and then just
decommitted, committed over here. Well, I think he made the right decision, man.
Yeah, exactly.
He made the right decision, man. That's all that matters. He's going to be at Griz, and I think he made the right decision.
Exactly.
Yep.
So yeah, well, we've got another safety in the making there, or cornerback. So, but man, let's get into it. We haven't talked about the Portland State game. So, what did you see? Yeah, did you get to go to that game?
Oh, dude, yes, I was there whole game, man.
Nice.
Awesome. What an experience, dude. It was refreshing to play against some not more high quality, but just more fitting quality, if that kind of makes sense. Because obviously Portland State's rival of ours, we play them every single year. They're in the FCS level, they're not at a D2 level. And I think it was really kind of refreshing to kind of see how it unfolded. And I think it played out exactly how I kind of talked about it after that first Central Washington game. I said, hey, it was rusty that first game, and then you saw him come out like a loose cannon this game.
Oh yeah,
the ground and pound was absolutely incredible, and I know you had some concerns about that the first game, and exactly what I told you. Hey, I think it's just a rhythm issue. Getting the feel for it, kind of getting in tune, dusting the rust off, and I saw so many great things, man. I was really proud to kind of just be there and just be able to kind of witness it and soak it in and just let it unfold the way that I was supposed to. And I think all positions went off, man. I think it's that kind of that headline again, as we had that first game. It was really refreshing to pick up on the stuff that we kind of saw as far as the run game. Quarterback play was still good. I think it was a little bit of an improvement as opposed to that first game. It could always be better. There's always something to improve on all levels. And so defense absolutely lights out again. Jesus. But man, it was exciting to be there, dude. It really was. It was refreshing to play against some top tier level and just roll over them.
Well, and it was interesting because Portland State is going to be a pretty good team. I would think probably middle of the Big Sky that I think they'll be pretty good. Maybe, I don't know, maybe ranked sometime type in the year, but man, they just completely dominated them. They had a good series. After that, they completely dominated, shutted them down. Again, took the quarterback's lunch money all over again, hitting them. Man, just the one hit that I envision is Portland State's quarterback. He's running, and then I believe it was the cornerback, Justin Ford. Oh my goodness! Gosh. Just comes out of nowhere and just hits him, and the guy you could just see him just whiplash back. Just hey,
dude, the passion that Justin's been playing has been absolutely incredible, man.
Yeah.
He truly has that dog mentality. I think right before the Central Washington game, I talked about that cornerback position having to be literally on an island of its own. Have a different type of confidence as opposed to the rest of the team. And I think he fits that description. I think he's a killer. He has that hunter mentality, especially because when you think about the sizes, the cornerback position, kind of similar to the safety position, there's some of the smaller guys on the field. Exactly. And so compared to obviously an offensive lineman who's 6'7", 300 pounds, 6'4", 300 pounds, 315 pounds. And so coming out there and playing that way that he did with that killer mentality, with that head hunting kind of attitude, I think it's super awesome to see, man. I wish nothing but the best for him. I really think it's going to be a huge year for him.
Yeah, I totally do too. I was talking to a friend, and just watching him is entertainment in itself, because he nonstop talks to the other team, to the other players, to the other sideline, nonstop, and he can back it up. There was one time he didn't back it up, and he was still talking oh yeah, you think you're good, still talking. He is nasty in a good way, and he reminds me of a cornerback that we had here a while back that went to the NFL that kind of had that same kind of mentality. Tremaine Johnson, maybe not as big.
Tremaine Johnson, huh?
Not as big, but same kind of attitude, that same kind of demeanor of I'm the guy. You try to stop me, try to go up against me, and I totally agree with you. You have to have a dog. Yeah.
Yeah, Justin is a dog, man. Like I said, killer mentality, and I think that's what that position calls for. And it's absolutely incredible to see, man. He's going to do some big things, man. I'm excited. I'm excited to see him kind of roll and, take it by the horns and really just be a leader and a voice on that defensive side too. I think being around a player like that is contagious. Being able to not only talk the talk, but walk the walk and go out and play. I think it's awesome to see. And I've been around players that have really inspired me. So I know that he's sitting there inspiring, some of the younger guys as equally some of the older guys, because being out in that field, sometimes you get tired. Sometimes you get hurt. Sometimes in the moments you have to push past a little bit of pain and uncomfortability. And I think he embodies that mindset of, hey, next play, let's get after it. I'm a dog and I'm going to win 10 out of 10 times.
Well, and it'll be really interesting because, maybe we mentioned this earlier in a previous podcast, but, him teaching those younger guys as well. And I think kind of we need to get the other side solidified. Omar Hicksonu, and then I know that Trajan Cotton was out. I think he was hurt. He hurt his foot. And so it'll be interesting to see which one of those guys kind of battles out for that last spot over there. But, man, just the coach that they have coaching them just makes me excited, just because of where he's been and the caliber of coach that he has. Kind of Ronnie Bradford, there's his name. Ronnie Bradford, coach of the cornerbacks, just 15-year vet in the NFL, coaching, playing at 10 seasons in the NFL, won a national championship at the University of Colorado, coached at Southern Cal, Memphis, Cal, Louisiana Tech. He just has that experience, and to just see that kind of a caliber of a coach to coach up those cornerbacks and that talent that we have there is really, really exciting.
Exactly, dude. He's well qualified, and so he knows what it takes to be on a winning team. And I think it's also one of the big things that I always kind of think about is I know a lot of coaches that never seen a down of football. They've been around it their whole life. They understand it extremely well. But I know some coaches never had that opportunity to play, actually get on the field for one reason or another, whether that be athletic ability, whether that be just football IQ at the time, and that eventually sparked and inspired, coaching kind of career that they wanted to pursue. So I think it's super, super awesome to be able to say, hey, not only was I a player for a long, long time, but I'm also a coach and say I'm passionate about it. So you get a little bit extra. I think players that have seen and touched the field, they just understand football a little differently. They understand that it's not just X's and O's, and it goes deeper than that, whether that be player relationships, whether that be grit, whether that be kind of pushing past some of those uncomfortable situations and positions that you can potentially get into. And so I think because of that, he's going to, in turn, just elevate these guys' play to that next level.
Yeah, exactly. It's exciting. Some of the things, we kind of talked about it, that it was a smash mouth game. Xavier Harris, holy cow. I think that was his coming out party of saying, hey, hello, I'm a freshman and I'm here to play. Just the cutback quickness from him, the dynamic between Nick Osmo and him, having that grind and pound, and then that quickness, man. They had almost over 200 yards rushing together. That if you get that going, plus your wide receivers, that's going to be a hard offensive unit to stop. What were your thoughts on that? I have to take it on. Yes, I was kind of the one that was wishy-washy on the line play, but you can't fault me because that line play the first game was a little shaky and they weren't getting the push. Now, I didn't doubt that they weren't going to get them. I didn't doubt them. I did not doubt them for a moment. I was just kind of skeptical of what was happening with Central Washington. So with that, I think that they got a lot better push up front. They were pulling a lot more. So they were they had a lot of the pulling guards. So they were doing a lot more of pulling, better blocking. The pass protection has been amazing.
Oh my gosh, dude. Yeah.
Like amazing. You would have thought, I was thinking, hey, this is where we're finally going to see Cam or Chris, feel some pressure when they drop back. They didn't feel any pressure in the pocket. What I saw, that line was legit pass protection. And that was not Portland State is a good defense. They're not, like top 10 or anything, but they had a pretty good defense. They ran a flex, I believe, front line. So being that good of a defense, it was awesome to see how they played. I will eat my words. I will eat it. But yes, much better play on the O-line. So I was excited about that.
Dude, hell yeah. Then like I had mentioned last week, or I think maybe a week and some change, I had mentioned that the opportunity was going to present itself. It was really just about finding a little bit of a rhythm, finding a little bit of a pattern, putting yourself in a position to kind of really say and figure everything out, whether it be some of the pushes, whether it be the running back seeing the holes, maybe making the right cuts, kind of playing against a defender a certain way. And I think it really came together. I think the offensive line did a tremendous job understanding that, hey, yeah, we won that first game, but it needs to be better. There needs to be a better push. There needs to be better opportunity for the running back. There should be, and one of the mantras that we kind of live by, that you should be able to drive a semi-truck through a certain lane in order for the running back to know this is the way I'm supposed to go. Make it super clear and obvious that they have no choice but to go in that direction, based on how we're supposed to play. And it's one of those things we aggressively attacked the run game every single day when I was there. And so because of that, I don't expect it to be any differently. I just expect it to be improvement upon improvement. I know those guys took it to heart and said, hey, it needs to be better. We can be better, and it will be better. And like you said, Pass Pro, phenomenal.
Oh my gosh.
And I think that comes to a bulk of different kind of aspects, whether that be experience, whether that be having guys around the culture and being around guys that know how to pass protect and they know how to, take that to heart to say, hey, it's me versus you, and I'm not going to let you come close to the quarterback. I'm not going to put him in that position. I'm not going to make it a little scary, because I've been part of games before during my time playing where, pass protection, it's nut up or shut up time. One bad move, one quick move, and you're not on your A game. The quarterback on the blind side coming in with a 6-yard gain, full sprint,
there's your quarterback.
There's your quarterback
on the ground.
That's exactly what happened to me my sophomore year. I remember one time I had an assignment. It was a bonehead move. I knew exactly who to block, but I was young. I was inexperienced. And so I ended up looking the other way. He screamed past me from the second level, screamed right past me. Brady was turned the opposite direction, got hit on the back, fumbled the whole football. Luckily, we recovered it, but I'll never forget that play, because after that, I was like, okay, I need to step it up. I need to be better. And I was better because of it. So I'm glad those experiences put me in a position. But these guys have been around, some really talented ball players to be able to know. And I feel like I did a good job kind of, and the guys that I was with around, whether it be Cooper Sprung, David Reese, kind of putting it down, saying, hey, this is something we take pride in. The run game is equally as important as the pass game. And you kind of just saw all come together.
Yeah. Well, and I think, Malik Flowers, and, he had an amazing game too. He kind of shined, Gabe Sulzer had the first game. He didn't really shine. Now Malik's turn kind of shined. He had a blocked punt. That was amazing too. Cause I was like, oh, who blocked that punt? And I was like, that was Malik. Like, what in the world? Like,
came in hot, dude.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I was like, dang, that was like the speed on and showcase right there. Did a really great job. Brian Buschini, I think we need to call him Big Leg Brian. Big Leg Brian. Big Leg Brian. Man alive. I think his averages were over 50 yards.
Yeah, incredible. What an opportunity for him to just really step up and take it by the horns, dude.
Oh, yeah.
I could only imagine the amount of pressure, that kind of he had.
Oh, yeah.
Coming in, just the year that it's been, the transfers that we've had, the changes that we've had, and then all of a sudden just coming in and just bombing 50-yarders, consistently, aggressively,
Yeah.
And I think it's absolutely incredible to be able to see that, man, and see him just being kind of hit the ground running. And being under a coach like Bobby, who emphasizes, who is known for his special teams, I think it's only going to add strength to him. It's going to put him in the position to really kind of not only succeed, but thrive this upcoming year.
Exactly. And one thing that we haven't gotten to is we mentioned earlier in the podcast is Joseph Cooper has entered the transfer portal. So you are going to see next year a freshman punter, kicker, and place kicker.
Mm-hmm. All three levels.
All three levels, unless they go into the transfer portal and get somebody. But if nothing happens, hold on, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's there for the taking. It's really
there for the taking. Yep.
Yeah, it really is, and so it's up to them to really kind of take it upon themselves. And like I said, what a learning experience being able to come in as my experiences as a freshman really kind of laid that foundation of whether or not I wanted to stick in football, whether or not, and it kind of put me in a place where I fell in love with it even more deeply. I became, somewhat obsessive. And I always tell people, I think there's really kind of three for certain type of players that hate the game, players that love the game, and players that are obsessed with the game. I don't think there's really kind of in between some guys that love it some days and hate it some days. It's either one or the other. And I think because of that, it really put me in this position to say, okay, I'm passionate about this. And how could it be the best possible version of myself? And so what an experience to say, hey, you know what, as a freshman, I played on a football team, not only any football team, but one of the potentially, knock on wood, one of the most prolific Montana football teams that we've had come through here in a long, long time.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Because that year, that was 15, right?
Yeah.
So we had Jamal Jones. We had.
Well, actually.
Was that 15 or was that 14?
Because I came in 15. I came in 15, but kind of from what I heard from the grapevine was I came in a little bit too fat. So because of that, I didn't have the opportunity to play that first year, dude. But apparently they were kind of debating about it, kind of saying about it, whether or not I was kind of the right fit for that time. But because I came in on my recruiting visit sitting at 285, because I had just caught off of wrestling season. So I was looking pretty trim, pretty athletic. And then I had the stigma that for whatever reason, I was kind of thinking old school that some of these guys were 320, 330, 350 pounds, just bowling balls of human beings. So I took that as a challenge, and I literally ate everything that I possibly could. My mom hated me for the whole summer, but I enjoyed it. So when I came into town, they were like, whoa, you gained a couple pounds. And then they saw me, and they were like, yeah, you gained a little more than a couple pounds. We need to put you on a little diet. And so that first year was really kind of really important for me to just kind of focus on formulating myself and to be, a dominant player. And I think I was sitting about 320 after that first year. And that's what I entered that second year going into.
Okay. Cool. So, QB. So, Cam did, the first game kind of shaky. I don't think you said it, but I was a little shaky on that. Not necessarily to the point where we're away from Cam. I think Cam's our guy for the time period and the leadership that he has. There were still some underthrows that there was, but I had to look at it this way: is it him or is it my expectations? And so Griz Nation has high expectations. And I think, from last year, getting our feet wet in the playoffs and then getting this team where they are legit, those expectations kind of go up from where we were. Where do we go from here? So, does it match? Do my expectations match where we possibly could be? And so my expectations, is it realistic for my expectations to be at that level, or is it just my just being not being able to have that expectation for a while that increases it? I don't know, man. I really think that there's, and just, to having Dalton Sneed and going from Dalton Sneed, it's going to take some time. And I think the expectations, people are going to have to relax. People are going to have to relax. Let Cam work some things out. Let him, get a sense of starting. And so I kind of had to go back on that and kind of just take a personal look at me and just say, hey, is this my expectations? Or is this just, not having those expectations and then them just growing? But yeah, he did a really good job. Before that heck of a hit that he took, he was doing really well. He was getting out of the pocket.
I was worried for a second. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. He was out. He was out. So
yeah, I've been a part of a couple of those hits, man. You literally kind of don't remember the moment. All you remember is kind of just black, and then all of a sudden you just kind of feel like this ringing, in those kind of situations. So I was worried for a second, but as soon as he got up and the way that he kind of walked it off, I was like, okay, I think he's gonna be okay. I talked to him. I think he's doing more than well. He's fine. He's gonna be okay. And so it's really exciting to know that, okay, he's not seriously injured. It was just kind of a little hiccup. And it was a great opportunity to kind of play against some top tier competition. Obviously, he was doing really well before that. And I think because of that, it gave him kind of perspective to say, okay, trust my offensive line even more. Be comfortable in the pocket. He saw an opportunity, he took off with it, and maybe he just learns how to maybe slide a little better. Maybe he learns how to, fall a little quicker. So just it's a learning experience when it's all said and done. I think that's the beautiful part about it. Everything that happens that you can necessarily see as bad is one of those things that you can kind of translate it into a learning lesson. And I think that's exactly what's going to do. He's a phenomenal player. I think you make about a good point. Sometimes as fans, you kind of get into that conversation. Is this our expectation, or, is it right to have those expectations, or should we just let them go be? And I think we really, and they kind of got the gist of playing backyard football. I mean, you saw how much fun those guys were having. You saw how passionate they were about every single play, regardless of what it was, whether it be offense, defense, special teams. It could be the opening kickoff, and they were ready to run through a wall. And I think because of that, I think as a fan, what I'm doing is I'm really just, there's no expectations from me. I'm just sitting back and enjoying it. I'm appreciating football for the art that it is. I'm appreciating it for the moments that happen. And I think as fans, I think that's kind of the right way about to kind of approach this team, simply because the work's been put in. They're killing it in a lot of different ways, and it's just about letting the pieces fall where they do.
Well, and that's the one thing that is going to be interesting going into it is where will the pieces fall, and so like you said, Angel, like where will the pieces fall? That's what's going to be going into this next fall. Where are the pieces going to fall? Who are we going to have with the transfer portal? Who are we going to have? Who are we going to develop? Who are we going to, who's going to take that next step up? That's where I think the next big thing is going to happen is, okay, well, we've got some time. We've got some time to nurse some injuries. Hopefully, some of the other guys, AJ Forbes, and also Xavier Harris got a little, I believe it was just a stinger. And don't quote me on that. That's not official thing. But from my eyes, it looked like he just got a stinger on the hip. But, thoughts and prayers out to AJ. Hopefully he's doing well and it's not serious. We don't want him, hurt. Nobody hurt for that matter of the fact. Anybody, even the opposing team. But how much that transfer portal is going to affect how this team is going to be. And I don't think this transfer portal is going away. I don't think just because the pandemic hit, I don't think it's going away. I think that the legislation in the NCAA, they're probably here soon going to get past the 1 year where you can transfer, which I think is a great thing. And I think I've said it in podcasts before, is if a coach can leave without any ramifications, a player should be able to do the same thing. It doesn't make any sense why a player can't leave after any time after a coach leaves, rather than, I have to stay here even if the system doesn't, the incoming coach, the system doesn't work for me. That doesn't make any sense at all. And I fully back the student athlete for that. So it'll be interesting that coaches kind of who kind of look at the transfer portal and they kind of adapt to it, and which coaches see it and they say, hey, we're not going to take part of it. But what are one thing I wanted to get your kind of take on too is one negative. I have to find one negative, and it's not a big thing, but when Cam went out,
okay.
Chris came in, and I believe, don't quote me on this, they did not throw the ball a single time.
Really?
They did not show. They didn't, and that's my negative thing is when you have a freshman in there and you're wanting to develop him, don't you want to kind of work with him on seeing some things? And I know Coach Houck kind of commented on it and said, hey, Chris did all the right calls. He did a lot of the checks. And so, I might be totally wrong. And hey, maybe those plays were pass plays and he checked them down into run plays. That could totally be. But with what I saw and what was ran is all runs. And I just think that I know you're focusing on running and getting the run game going, but once you have that freshman quarterback in there that doesn't have a lot of experience, I think you have to take that into effect, and you have to let him loose a little bit.
I think you make a great point about it, and I think that I'm trying to think outside the box of this, and I think one of the things what I think that they may have wanted to do was just to see how he ran an offense. Obviously, as a thrower, he can throw, he can play, he can make those balls and make those throws. But at the same time, I think the bigger picture is, can he run the offense? Can he make the right checkdowns? Can he read the defense from a run game standpoint? Can he learn how to just follow without actually having to be the star of the show? Does that make sense? So yeah, I would like to think I think there's always a method to madness. I think there's always kind of a calculated game plan. And I think that maybe have something they talked about before and said, okay, hey, you know what? We're not going to put you in a position to really go out there and fling the ball. One, because at that point in time, they were already up X amount of points. Yeah, and then definitely. Two, I think it might have been one of those that kind of dials back to the conversation. I think they all understood that the run game could have been better that game. So maybe they wanted to see how we took that leadership position in controlling the offense, to make those right reads when it came to making those run game kind of plans. And so because of that, I think that's where maybe they wanted to see him shine, kind of make them. Maybe that might be something he might have been struggling with in practice. But nonetheless, I think he did a great job just commanding that offense, letting people know, letting the offensive line know, the receivers, those checkdowns, and say, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is, you guys know the game plan. Just follow my lead. I'll get it done and make the proper handoffs, because at the end of the day, I think he's a sophomore, so there's a lot of pressure that comes he's a sophomore, correct?
I think he's a freshman, I believe.
I think he might be a sophomore in school. Maybe that's why I'm kind of confusing it. Well, it's been a crazy year, man.
Yeah. Well, he probably would be a sophomore coming in, but he doesn't lose a year, so he'll be a fresh. It's really weird. It's going to be
exactly. But regardless, he's young. So
exactly.
I think maybe from a coach's perspective, it's okay. We know you can throw. There's no question about that. We know you can make those plays, and we saw it kind of come alive Central Washington. But can you lead an offense? And I think that's where those quarterbacks really make that leap from good to great, being able to control an offense and kind of know your place and be humbled by it and know, hey, I don't have to be the star of the show. Our job is to score points, and that's all that matters. As long as we come out there and win, I think that's the most important part about it. And I think you saw that, man. I think you did a great job just leading the offense from that kind of back end position.
You're taking me away from the ledge, man. You're taking me away from the ledge.
Yeah. You're about to jump off.
You're talking me down. You're talking me down.
Yeah. I gave you a parachute. So when you did jump off, there you go. That's better. It's inevitable, man. This sport will have you, arguing, and then you'll kind of sit back and regress and say, hey, man, I'm arguing over a game.
Exactly.
It's pretty incredible how legit and how, tied to people's heartstrings the game of football is in general. I catch myself doing it time and time again. Sometimes I need that person to be like, hey, man, you're going to jump off the ledge, but at least let me give you a parachute before you jump off,
Yeah, definitely. So, and awesome. Also, special teams, we mentioned Malik and we mentioned Big Leg Brian. I'm totally going to see if it takes off. Big Leg Brian. And then also, I got to give a shout out to Ryder Meyer. The block that he had for Gabe on that.
Incredible.
Oh my goodness. And it was clean. I don't care who you are. He got just enough of the guy so that Gabe could come around. That was an amazing block. So I'm glad they didn't call that because I would have been furious. So
right. You would have been jumping off the cliff, huh?
Oh, I would have been jumping up and down. I would have been yelling at the TV, yelling at my dog. But also, defensive line, I was really excited about that. We got inside pressure. Justin did a really good job. And so, the dominance that this defense has had, I think it's been 107 points to 10 points is just amazing. And so it'll be interesting to see. I'm looking forward to see who steps up in that defensive end position of where we're going to be getting that pressure on the outside. And it'll be interesting to see, is it, and I think we've talked about this before, we're not getting a lot of pressure on the defensive ends, but is it just maybe a systematic way of not necessarily getting the pressure on the ends, but it's just everybody's putting that pressure on with the linebackers filling those spots. But man, that defense has been stout. Holy cow.
It's been awesome, dude. I mean, even think about it. I think, obviously pressure is always nice, but I think our defense is formulated to provide that pressure in different ways, with such good cornerback coverage, with those 2-3 linebackers literally blasting through like a bat out of hell, to try to legit kill the quarterback. In some regards, I think it's playing into the game plan. I think that's exactly what it is. I think at the defensive end position, it's really to control the outside, because if he slips out, there's nobody really out there in order for the quarterback continue to run. So I think they're built to kind of play that position and say, hey, give pressure, 100%, beat your man, but there's also multiple responsibilities that you need to be aware of. And I just goes to show the type of trust that he put in his defensive line front. Plug the gaps. Obviously, the run game, stopping the run game was critical. That was awesome. Being able to provide that pressure. You saw Jace come in, you smacked the quarterback, which eventually led to the interception. I think either Justin Ford had.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah. I think those types of things is absolutely incredible. And I think it all, like I said, there's a method to the madness. And I think it's coming in. I think it's the pieces are being laid where they need to be.
Well, and just the like you said, the linebackers, like you look at the linebacker that makes a stop or something like that, and you're like, who is that? Like, oh man, like the linebackers have been consistent. Like, you don't see one guy making all the tackles. You don't see one guy getting a lot of the spotlight. Like, they are a cohesive unit that works together. And this whole defense is that bend, don't break. Okay, we're doing this as a team, this unit. And so it's really awesome to see. I can't wait to see it with 27,000 fans.
Dude.
Oh my goodness, it's going to be amazing. I can't wait. So, my question for you, Angel, is how was, because from the sound of it on the TV, like it sounded like there's a lot more, people there, even though I bet there wasn't. So the Griz Nation did really well. How was it? Was it still kind of awkward, or were you kind of getting used to the atmosphere?
I think it's still a little bit awkward. I think those expectations for me personally haven't been applied as far as the actual game day experience of being able to tailgate and all go to the game. I think one of the things that they did an awesome job about was letting people know, hey, if you leave, you can't come back in. So a lot of people decided to stay and take that opportunity to just watch the game, enjoy the game for what it is. Because even if they wanted to leave, there was no tailgating going on, so they couldn't go outside to, partake in whatever the activities they were doing. So because of that, people stayed. Was it loud by any means? No. As a player on either side, would I be threatened or opposed or nervous about it? Not at all. That just wasn't the case when it came down to it. So you think about how good the offense is, you think about how good the defense is, how great special teams is playing, and then you add 27,000 people to the mix, to opposing teams that want to come in here. I think that is going to play a huge, huge role. So I'm imploring the listeners out there, when that time comes, buy your tickets early, go to the games, stay at the games, because this is probably the most important season that we'll have in a long, long time.
Well, I think season tickets, aren't they out right now? I think there's
I think they are. They just dropped this past week, I believe. And so I'm already on. I'm in line. In line.
Awesome. I can't wait. I can't wait for this next fall. It'll be interesting to see just what happens and just the things that go along with this team. What are your expectations and the potential for this team? Because mine are sky high. I think this team has the potential to do great things that we haven't seen at the University of Montana for a while. They've got every position where I think that it's been leading up to this point. And so I think sky's the limit. Do I think we're going to go undefeated? I don't think we're going to go undefeated. But I don't want, my teams that I favor, I don't want them to be undefeated.
Okay, I get that. 100%.
I want a team to know the loss of that feeling and not wanting to feel it ever again. Because I don't want a team kind of, tensing up in a, championship game when it's 5 minutes left. And, the great teams don't, but, when you're tried and true, I think that kind of lessens that. So.
Well, I think personally, my expectations is I don't know why this keeps just popping it up, man. When you're 10 years old, you're playing in the alleyway, you're playing out on the street, the sun is setting, you're with your boys, there's sweat, there's dirt everywhere, but there's no worry in the world. It's just going out there and enjoying it. And I think those are my expectations. I think knowing those guys on a personal basis, I see that the passion that they come out with, I see how excited they get, for the little things. And I think that's where I'm falling in love with this process of being a fan, being able to sit here and just watch those guys fall in love with the sport, knowing that the guys on that roster are passionate about what they do. I think those are my expectations. And I think those expectations are going to put them in the best place to really be successful. Block out all the noise. Don't listen to anything or what anybody says, whether it be good and bad. Keep a level-headed. And I think because of that, taking that approach and really just going out there and playing for the love of the game, I think it's going to put them in a position to be the most successful. So those expectations for me, there's always going to be that conversation. Well, I want the offensive line to do great. I want the quarterback, the receivers, all defense to special. But at the end of the day, I just want them to go out there and ball, go out there and play and enjoy it, because for a lot of those guys, this is going to be the last year. And when it's gone forever.
Yeah.
It's gone forever and it'll never come back. And so it's one of those things is I want them to fall in love with the process and grasp every single day, because that's what I process. And I think that's where you fall in love with it. You fall in love with something so hard because of the process, because it's not the actual fact of winning. It's the fact of falling in love with the process and enjoying it and enjoying it, because that's where the rewards and the lessons, that's where they're made.
Yeah, definitely. So, blocking out the blocking out the noise. How hard is that? And do you, as a former player, when you're in a season, do you guys hear that noise, and how do you guys block that out?
I think it's just because you want to read there. I think personally, I wanted to read the articles. I wanted to look at the Instagram posts. I wanted to go out there and find the cool photos of me to post and post an inspirational quote on Instagram. But I think it's a conscious effort to say, I'm not focused on this. That is not the point and the priority of what I'm trying to accomplish. And I think these coaches do a good job letting people know, hey, dumb it back down to the basic foundation level of what we're doing here. We're trying to win games. We're trying to win championships. And you guys are trying to get degrees, Yeah. And obviously, another big goal is beat the neighbors too, So kind of having those basic, really dumbing it down to what those goals are, saying, hey, this is what we're focused on. We're not focused on the publicity. We're not focused on this. We're here to do a job, and our job is to play football, and we're damn good at doing it. And I think having that consistently kind of imprinted in my brain made me realize, okay, I'm not in here for the flash. I'm not in it for the press. I'm not in it for the interviews. I'm in here to have a good time, with my boys. Saturdays are for the boys,
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So, one thing we didn't get to, any lasting thoughts on the recap of the spring season?
No, not necessarily recaps, man. I think it's I think we're real fortunate to do what we do here and just be able to sit down and kind of talk football,
Exactly.
Because this is getting posted tomorrow, right? On a Tuesday.
Yep. This will be posted on a Tuesday. Yep.
Exactly, on a Tuesday. So I think we're real fortunate just to sit here and be able to just enjoy it for what it is, dude. And so it's like it's pretty cool, pretty damn cool that this is, a part of my life and what's involved in it. Because in a million years, man, I would have never thought I would have been, hopping on a podcast, a couple of times a week to talk some football and thoroughly enjoy it and love it, So real grateful for it, for sure.
Exactly. We are grateful to the listener. Just a shout out to Griz women's basketball. They did hire Jordan Sullivan as an assistant. Can you say you hired her when she was a rehire? Maybe rehired?
I don't even know necessarily what the proper term is. Retained, I guess.
Retained. Yeah. But anyway,
sounds a little aggressive, but dude. But congratulations to Jordan. She's obviously been around the program for a couple of years, and the players love her. And I think it's a smart move. I think good people get put in good situations, and I think this was the best situation for her. She obviously has a huge impact on not only the community but those kids. And I think Brian saw that. I think Brian felt that. And I think he knew that. And I think he's taking that very seriously. And I think that's an important part of just building that culture.
Exactly. It'll be interesting. Probably here in the next couple of weeks, we'll probably hear more news on filling out that coaching staff as well. Also, I know they have had 3 players go into the transfer portal. All those players have been freshmen, probably not seeing some of the playing time that they wanted to, but nonetheless, they've had some roster moves as well. Those names are, Bria Dixon, a guard, played 145 minutes last year. guard Carson Murphy, and then guard Joel Nell Momberg being able to play 29 minutes last year, which is significant as a freshman, I believe. But they are moving on, and we wish them the best of luck wherever they fall and wherever they go.
That's all you can do. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So, we've got some great plans of what we're going to be hitting here in the next week. We're going to get with another basketball recruit, Linnell Martin Jr. We're going to talk to him about his process of coming to be a Griz. We're really excited about that, to chat with him. So make sure to check that out. We're going to continue to work on some things. We are going to be probably here taking probably a break, kind of like an off season that we kind of discussed, Angel. And so we'll let you guys know when that's going to happen, so that you're not shocked that when you get in your car, you're not missing your daily listen or anything like that. We will let you know.
Have it, man. It's like a cup of coffee.
Exactly, man.
You gotta have it every day, man. Yeah,
exactly. So, but we will let you know when that happens. But we can't thank you enough. Spending time with us, listening, interacting, and we want you to keep on doing that. We had some great interaction today. And I've had people come out and say, hey, I've listened to it. Hey, what about this? And so we're getting a reaction. We want some more reaction. So don't feel like you can't, guys. We want you to. We're asking you, get a hold of us. Those 3 ways. You can get us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook page at Fight on Montana. You can get our podcast wherever you pretty much get your podcast. The one thing that we ask for you to do is to rate, review, and subscribe to that, and tell your friends about us. And we will probably see you here in the next week or so, and we can't wait. So
thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Go Griz.
Go Griz.